I left at 1:03 from the station.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer. Served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. We are broadcasting live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studio. Steve Sparky Fifer here. It's at the Wisconsin State Fair, right outside of the Expo Building entrance, right across from the infield entrance as you walk in. You got the Milk House right there. We're looking right at the Milk House. The Gruber Law Tent is right across from us as well, right by Tavern at the Park. We can see that. Right as you walk into the Expo Building, you'll see us set up here with the Fan. And again, thanks to Mitch Thunder Nellis for being out here. Thunder at the Fair from 11 to 2 each weekday out here. Tommy Wirtz will be out here doing the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, 1 hour before every Brewers game as well. You'll hear from Pat Murphy before the game, starting lineups, look at the minors with Building a Winner, brought to you by Ironworkers. So, again, make sure to come on out here, say hi, stop by, and we'll talk about the Brewers doing nothing. Because at last check, and I haven't checked since I parked and walked up here, Charlie, but when I got out of the car, the Brewers still had done nothing as of when I walked in. Is that still the case?
Yeah, the Brewers still have done nothing. Yep.
Still have done nothing. Okay, well, good. So coming up on today's show, Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst, former Brewers pitcher. Tim Dillard joins us every Thursday here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. He'll be joining us today at 2:20. Normally he's on 3:20 every Thursday. A little bit earlier today. Why? Well, because he's got to go meet his kids' teachers for the upcoming school year. Charlie hasn't had to do that yet. That's always a fun time, meeting the teachers for the kids. So Tim Dillard joins us coming up at 2:20. We'll also look at Packers training camp, what happened up in Green Bay from earlier today. And Jordan Love has been an interesting topic right now. Mike Tannenbaum put out his quarterback rankings for the NFC. And elicited a huge reaction on social media the other day. So we'll get into that, too. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, we'll hear from Matt LaFleur coming up at 4 o'clock. Again, out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Steve Sparky Fifer with you, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Don't forget, we have the Pack-A-Day radio show weekday mornings from 8 to 9. The Mason Crosby Show. You remember, the former Packer kicker. He does a radio show every day on this station from 9 to 11 here on the Fan, along with Mitch Thunder Nellis. We're out here every day from 2 to 5. And again, it's Packers, Brewers, Bucks, all that fun stuff. You can stream us on the Odyssey app as well, AUDACY. Find us on YouTube. Just search The Fan Milwaukee. We live stream all of our radio shows as well. We have shorts that we put up, videos that we put up. Make sure to check that all out. All right, let's talk about the MLB trade deadline day. As we sit here today, I've watched the Mets get better. I've watched the Philadelphia Phillies get better. The Cincinnati Reds are trying for some apparent reason, being 3 games out of the wild card. The Reds are adding people as well. The Cubs added an old guy in their bullpen, Kittredge. That really put the fear of God or anything into me, but they added somebody today as well. So we have that. The Yankees obviously are continuing to work. The Twins are selling off their baseball team. Shane Bieber, a former Cy Young winner, coming off of Tommy John, he was traded from Cleveland to Toronto. The Blue Jays are out in front right now in the AL East by about 3 games or so. They're obviously in the middle of this and trying to add pieces. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Charlie Usen, but the only team at the top of the standings that has not made a move in the last 24 hours is the Milwaukee Brewers. Is that correct?
Yeah, and they're probably the only team that hasn't been really in true discussions so far. We've at least heard like the Astros, who are trying to make some moves here. They're in discussions. They're not really getting anything done, but they're there. Their name is being put out there. I haven't really heard anything about the Brewers.
That's the other thing, too. You've got a team like the Padres. The Padres went and got a starting pitcher and the closer, Mason Miller, from the Athletic, and gave up, what was it, the number 2 or 3 prospect in baseball and some other stuff in order to get that deal done. And they're also being rumored to be in talks for some of the other top guys out there, like Steven Kwan, the outfielder from the Indians, amongst others. So the Padres aren't done. Preller is going for it here at the deadline. There was talk coming into this that they might trade their closer Suarez, that they may trade Dylan Cease, their starter, and now comes word today that no, we're not trading anybody. In fact, we're pushing all chips in, emptying the farm system, and we're going to try and win the NL here. That's been the Padres' philosophy today. The Brewers' philosophy, I'm not going to come on the air and say that they're sitting on their hands over there at American Family Field, because I don't think they're necessarily sitting on their hands. I think, Matt Arnold is trying to find a deal. But I think that's where it becomes the issue. We're trying to find a deal. Instead of trying to figure out how to win a World Series, we're trying to figure out how we can steal a guy or how we don't have to give up more than we need to in order to get a guy back. We're trying to win a trade instead of trying to win a World Series. Does that make sense? So from the Brewers' perspective at this point, should it be about winning a trade or should it be about trying to win a World Series? And whatever you give up, if it comes back to burn you, 3-4 years from now, fine, but you're trying to win a World Series. You're the best team in the National League. And instead, we're sitting here watching everybody around us get better and going, well, we'll be okay. We're the best team in the National League. It'll work out. But we don't know. Andrew Vaughn has been unbelievable since he's been here. He's been amazing. Do we know if Andrew Vaughn's going to do this for 2 more months? I have no idea. Caleb Durbin has been really good with a bat here for the last month. But he's not playing every day. They're sitting him. What did they sit him? 3-4 days last week? So he's not playing every day. So we don't know what he is offensively. Isaac Collins has been really good now for, going on 2 months. I think I'm pretty sold on Isaac Collins being a guy going forward. Contreras showed some power for the first time in over a month yesterday with a couple home runs. So there's a positive there. The starting pitching, they're amazing. Those front three of Peralta, Woodruff, and Mizorowski will match up with anybody in baseball. But the question coming into this has been power. And we went over the numbers yesterday on Wisconsin Sports Daily. 2016 was the last time a team won a World Series with less than 200 home runs. That was the last time. That was the Cubs at 199. The Brewers are on pace for about 150. That's a big difference from 150 to 200. Now, that doesn't mean they can't break the mold and be the first one to not get to 200 in the last 9 to 10 years. Maybe. But it just seems like it's going to be difficult. Now, Suarez, the guy that we all wanted from the Arizona Diamondbacks, he gets traded to the Mariners. He did not go for nearly as much as everybody was saying he was going to go for. You could have gotten Suarez for a top 10 pick and a couple of other guys. And I was looking at it earlier. Do you know what it would have been if you would have matched up prospect numbers? It would have been Josh Adamczewski, the infielder, who they just drafted, last year. He would have went in the deal. Witrowski would have went in the deal. And the third guy was outside of the top 25. You literally could have done that without robbing your farm system of any of your top prospects, Charlie. You could have got Suarez and that deal done.
Well, and it probably would have been a pretty easy yes for me. I mean, that was the deal that a lot of people were putting out there anyways. It was those two guys and Logan Henderson.
Yeah, it was Hector Gomez, not a lot of people. It was Hector Gomez that put that deal out there and said that was the deal that they were offering up.
And I think that is a deal that I would take any day, every day of the week if I'm Matt Arnold. I look at this whole situation that the Brewers are going through. I know you want to try to make the best deal possible. But, again, you need to look at your farm system and see how loaded it is and how loaded it's going to be over the course of the next 2 years and realistically say to yourself, are these guys really going to be able to get to our MLB system within the next 2 years for us to be a competitive team like we think we can be, or a World Series contending team like we think we can be in the next 2 seasons? No, I don't think all of those guys are going to get up there. So you might as well move on from them. I don't think you need to do what the Padres do, which is give up every top prospect that you have and hope that it just works out for you in the end, because that obviously isn't working for them. They haven't won a World Series either. And now Washington has C.J. Abrams and James Woods, who both look really good to this point, and now they just gave Leo DeVries to another organization in order to work with. I mean, you can't follow that approach and just give up constantly, but right now the Brewers haven't given up anybody. You have to try at least.
But see, this is the thing. You can give up a bunch of prospects when you have a huge payroll because they have all the money to spend on guys in order to continue to sign guys. Speaking of a lot of money, the Yankees, they gave David Bednar now from the Pirates. They give up catchers Rafael Flores and Edwin Perez, plus outfielder Brian Sanchez. Again, Yankees go get another guy, a closer to put at the back end of that pen with everything else that they got. They're not messing around either. And that's, to me, that's just the most frustrating thing in the world as a fan, is when you have your favorite team, they're the best team in baseball, and nothing is being done to add. While everybody, literally every other top team has added players, the Brewers are watching at this point. Nicolay Love Fan Talk text line, if you want to dial it up. You are frustrated. If you're good with this, you're like, hey, Brewers are better than baseball. I don't care what everybody else is adding. We got this. Then free. Fine. Let me hear you. 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin State Fair. Trell on the north side. You're next on the Fan. What's up, Trell?
Hey, Sparky, what's going on, man?
What's up, man?
Hey, man, I'm not surprised at all, man. I see what Mr. A is doing. And I think you said it perfectly. You said they shouldn't be trying to win a deal. They should be trying to find a way to win a World Series. And guess what? The Brewers have never won a World Series. So my thinking, they don't even have those thoughts in their mind. Their thought is the Mark A way, is have a competitive team with a low roster cost, keep on bringing these kids up, and we'll put a competitive team out there in front of the Brewers fans. And because we've never won a World Series, this fan base is going to love it. And as long as we can promise them that we're going to do our best to put a competitive ball team out there, we're all right. There's no pressure to ever try to win a World Series, Just as long as we have a low roster cost and some good young talent that we can stick out there to people's faces and say, like the Miz and Chario and those type of things. There's no pressure to ever win a World Series. No, not at all. We're perfectly fine with being a 80 to 93 win team year in and year out, and we're going for it, fans. That's what we're doing. Yeah, that's the logic of thinking right there, I believe.
Correct. And he has said before, Trell, thanks for the call. He has said before, Mark is the owner of this team, that payroll is a large part because of where we are based on fan attendance. And then we saw the report come out that the Brewers are spending 41% of reported MLB revenue coming to them. The Mets are spending 90% of reported revenue coming to them. So this nonsense about, we got to have a lot of attendance in order to spend because we're poor little Milwaukee. How about you spend more of the revenue money? How about you get to 50 or 55%? If they spend 50% of the MLB revenue coming in, or 55%, that payroll is like $30 million more than what it is currently. And now all of a sudden, you give Matt Arnold $30 million more to spend and a way to spend it? Yeah, I feel real good about the Brewers' chances to be competitive with everybody else around here. The quote that was referenced earlier from Antanasio, is my job to win a World Series, or is my job to provide a summer of entertainment and passion and a way for families to come together? See that? Does that make everybody feel good? Because if we're being honest, that is exactly, really, what the Brewers have provided for the last decade. They provided teams that compete for the playoffs, get to the playoffs, and I think Brewers fans love that. A winning baseball team. You don't see empty ballparks like you do in Pittsburgh. You don't see empty ballparks like you do in Chicago for the White Sox. You see full stadiums from time to time. This last homestand, what they sell out, like 5 or 6 games or something crazy like that? And 2 of those, or 3 of those, were against the Marlins. So the fan base clearly supports the Milwaukee Brewers. In fact, I think you could argue that the Brewers fan base is the best in all of baseball at this point. I don't think it's even remotely close. Based on market size and so forth, it is the best fan base in baseball, and the owner doesn't treat you like it. That sucks. Because if this was about winning a World Series, this would be done. David Bednar just went from the Pirates to the Yankees. Closer, okay? Now, David Bednar, everybody seemingly thought, was going to be a ton in order to get him back. They gave up prospect 8, 14, and a kid outside of the top 25 to get David Bednar. I've not seen outside of the Preller deal, the Padres deal, where he gave up like the number 2 or 3 prospect in baseball. Outside of that deal, anybody else giving up top 3, top 5 prospects in their system? I mean, for the most part, these guys are all somewhere between like 8 and 25 with guys giving up prospects. You're telling me this Brewers team couldn't afford having one of the best farm systems in baseball? They couldn't afford to give up 2 or 3 of their top 25 prospects from like, I don't know, 7 or 8 down? Of course you could. The Shane Bieber deal to Toronto, we just talked about Shane Bieber yesterday. Did you see that deal, Charlie?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that was for one player.
Mm-hmm.
That one player for the Brewers would have been Bishop Letson, the young arm that is, 6 or 7 on the Brewers prospect list. You wouldn't have traded Bishop Letson for Shane Bieber? Yes. The answer is yes. Coming up next, Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst. We'll see what he thinks of what's going on here at the Brewers MLB trade deadline. Again, deadline is 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is the deadline. Time for your fan weather forecast, 74 degrees. And on my phone, it simply says smoke. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Low of 61 tonight.
He's a former Brewers pitcher. You can hear him on his podcast, Buses, Benches, and Baseball. It's time to hear from FanDuel Sports Network Brewers analyst, Tim Dillard, as he joins Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Broadcasting live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
There he is, that beautiful hunk of a looking man. He is Tim Dillard. Follow him on social media and on Twitter at Dim Dillard. How are we doing, Tim Dillard?
Good. Just interested in all this trade deadline stuff.
Interested. You could take a nap for the Brewers. I mean, they haven't done anything. And look, I'm not even remotely surprised. I ranted yesterday in my frustration by how this whole thing was going to go. And they still have, 2.5 hours to still make a deal, and maybe they will make a deal or two. We'll see what ends up happening at the end of the day. But everybody else that's at the top of the food chain in Major League Baseball, AL or NL, and even those that aren't, like the Padres and the Reds, are making moves, trying to get better here at the trade deadline. The Brewers, quiet as a mouse as we sit here right now today, still with no deal. Tim Dillard, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not surprised. The team's got the best record in all of baseball. They're winning ball games, scoring a lot of runs. They're not giving up a ton of runs. And, I mean, where can you really improve? I'm sure everybody on social media knows what to do, but it's kind of funny that until you're actually in the driver's seat of being a general manager, being the president of whatever it is, stuff's not as easy as you think it is. And then what does it mean for the team if you start making moves? Well, it's not a big move. It's like, well, you replace a guy that's done well, and you're telling that guy, well, you've done good, but it's not good enough. So there's a lot of ripple effects rather than just go get the best guy you can and put him there. So I'm not surprised at all. They got a great team. I think they got a chance to do some great things, and they need a piece or two. Who knows? But there's still time.
So I guess I'm a little bit confused. Maybe I've been wrong a long time about something. I always thought, from a player's perspective, obviously I'm not a player, never have been, but if from a player's perspective, I would think at the deadline you would want the organization to bring in good players to try and help push you past, the line and potentially win a World Series. Do you think that right now in this clubhouse they're saying, we're good, we don't need anything, we're good enough, let's go win? I mean, because I've always heard from different people that, they would be people in the Brewers clubhouse would be frustrated when the Brewers didn't go make a move to try and push them over, at the deadline and stayed status quo at the deadline. Is that not the case?
Well, I mean, you said push over the line. Right now they're at the top of the line, so whatever they've been doing, the moves they've made, getting Vaughn, getting Priester, getting Quintana, all that's pretty much worked. Put Durbin at third. That's worked. Collins in left field. That has worked. Contreras coming around. I mean, everything they've done has worked. So it's where are you going to improve? They decided that, they needed a backup catcher. Well, I mean, that's their prerogative. They can make all kinds of moves. But what I think they're doing is they're looking around going, the moves that they made in the offseason and the moves they've made in the past, and obviously a couple this year, the deadline is just for theatrics. That's why we're talking about this now. If you want to be a good GM, make the moves that will work and do it as soon as possible. Go back to Willie Adames. That trade happened in May. I think the reason there's a deadline is big because you want to see where your players are. If there's injuries or somebody's underperforming, then you have a chance to make some sort of move. But I think general managers really like when they have a team come together and they're winning a bunch of ball games and then not wanting to mess with it.
The other part about this I brought up earlier, and I think you see it from guys like Dave Dombrowski, who's got World Series rings, plural. Preller in San Diego has nothing. But he is super aggressive as well. I feel like there are some GMs that, screw it, I don't care about these prospects. I'm trying to win a World Series. I'll worry about my farm system later and deal with it then. And then I think there are other GMs that look at it and go, no, I'm not going to be swindled. I need my farm system, to continue to build this organization. And if I'm wrong on this, it could come back and burn me and cost us, 2-3 years down the line in the organization if that guy turns out to be really good. And I feel like the Brewers are in the situation because of current payroll situation versus Philly, who's got a ton of money and so forth, where they can't afford maybe to go and try and push in and win a World Series, as much as that's what I want them to do, that they have to be more careful about making sure they don't get burned by somebody turning out to be really, really great and then not being able to win a World Series with the guy that they acquired.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. You do have to take a look around and see which teams that still left on the schedule, right? Who are you going to play in August? Who are you going to play in September? Who are you going to match up against in the early rounds? And if they're improving in certain areas, then it may be mathematically smart to go, okay, we need someone to kind of counteract some of this stuff. But honestly, if I'm in the clubhouse and I'm a part of this team and the Brewers don't make any huge moves, I'm sitting there going, I feel really good about myself that what I've been doing is good, and the whole team, all the players are trending in the right direction. That's a vote of confidence to those guys. If you go and get the biggest whatever, and you rent them for 2 months, and then you don't win the World Series, then it's like, well, I mean, and we're complaining about something else in November. So for me personally, like as a player, I think it's really cool when they're like, you know what, we're going to run it with the guys we have. Now, if they go get somebody, and I think I said this last week, if they go get somebody to play a primary position, they have to get somebody that they're going to have for a while. I don't think they're going to go and pick up a rental for 2 months and take away someone's position on the field right now.
So you're saying if they go get somebody, it's got to be somebody they're going to have for 2 or 3 years probably at this point. That they're going to have under team control. And if you look back, Yelich was a guy that they had under control. Greinke was a guy for 2 years. The only big-name player they've ever tried to rent was Sabathia. And as was pointed out to me the other day, well, they were desperate. It's been 20 years since they've been in the playoffs and 11 years not being 500, and it was all in. We just have got to try and break this streak, turn this thing around. But outside of Sabathia, for the most part, their other big moves have been guys that are under team control for certain.
Yeah, and I mean, they do all their work in the offseason. There's so many good moves that transpired. And look, go back to spring training. Nobody knew who was going to play which spot in the infield, how things were going to play out in the outfield, who's going to be your everyday DH. And, injuries happen and guys go to different roles. And suddenly you have this team. And if it's not Baroque, don't fix it. I like the symphony, so that's a symphony joke. But if it works and everybody's in harmony, I mean, I watch this team play, and it's like they're good. They're good at all facets. And if you go get a big bat, he's probably going to strike out more and probably not play as good a defense. And so that's kind of the trade-off. If you're on the mound and you're dealing and you don't have a good player in the playing defense behind you, then it's like, well, you better hit your home runs. We saw that a little bit from Willie Adames last year, right? He would make a couple errors or maybe not make a play, and then suddenly, boom, 3-run blast. Why not just make that play? And that takes some runs off the board that way.
Talking with Tim Dillard, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst, joins us every Thursday here on Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Fan out here at the Wisconsin State Fair, right by the infield entrance by the Milk House. Come on over, say hi. See Sparky Fifer with you, chatting with Tim Dillard here. Let's talk a little bit about what is next for this Brewers rotation, because I still haven't seen any definitive way of what they're going to go with Nestor Cortes seemingly ready here to make a move going forward. And that was another one that I thought, okay, well, maybe they're shopping Cortes or Quintana to figure out that with the 5 and get a player in return for one of those guys, whether it be a prospect or a player that maybe can help this year to kind of solve that. Maybe between Cortes and Quintana, do you see one or both saying, yeah, sure, I'll go to the bullpen for the rest of the season and be okay with it at this point?
I don't know if either one of those guys would be primary bullpen people. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd rather limit somebody like, Mizorowski or somebody, or Woodruff, guys that can come out, pump nasty stuff for an inning or two and be done with it. I mean, to me, you got guys that hadn't pitched much out of the bullpen, so why would you do that? And if you wanted to trade them, you got to trade them to somebody that you're not going to contend with. The last thing you want to do is trade Quintana. He ends up with whoever, and then all of a sudden you're facing them and he's dealing. And then you look even worse, because that's a player's best thing to do. Oh, you didn't want me? Well, guess what? I'm about to shove it, in your face. So, and
he's owned the Brewers already.
Yeah, he's on the Brewers. Like, he just keep him. I like him. Is he going to be the guy that you go out there in Game 3? No, but there's a lot of baseball left. There's 2 months, and if you have a bunch of these type of pieces, like, you don't want to just start giving things away thinking you have everything lined up. And again, there's always stuff happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. There's limitations to certain guys. There's guys that are in the training room every day, even though they're not on the IL, but everyone's dealing with something when it comes around, the beginning of August.
He is Tim Dillard joining us here again. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's at the Wisconsin State Fair. Andrew Vaughn just continues to be unbelievable. I mean, just incredible is what he's been at this point. I don't know how I want to ask you this, but I guess I'll just ask it simply. What do you think is making him so good right now, watching him, that maybe wasn't happening before, when he was down at AAA for the White Sox and struggled at the beginning of the year, and then the Brewers got him and had him go down there as well. And then I'm going to tell you a comparison that we have that I'll have Charlie play for you from MLB Network, that if he ends up being anywhere close to this guy, I mean, potential Hall of Famer if he ends up being the comparison on MLB Network they had for Andrew Vaughn and how they changed him. But go ahead. What do you think makes him so good right now?
Well, I mean, number one, he's a good player. I mean, he was drafted first round. I mean, he's got skills. Everyone knows that. And I heard Pat Murphy say, he was on TV, I think yesterday on MLB Network, talking about the team. And he was talking about Vaughn. And he said, the guy was humbled a little bit. He was in a tough environment in Chicago. They weren't winning. He gets sent down. And all of a sudden, he gets pulled over to the Brewers. He gets called up. And here's the opportunity. And sometimes when you go through that journey, you come out with a little bit less pressure. You're like, you know what? I'm a little bit freer at the plate, or if you're a pitcher, you're a little freer on the mound. Less to worry about. But for me personally, just watching it, when you're in a bad clubhouse, everything's magnified. Everything's worse. Nobody plays as a team. And so he might have been dealing with some of that in Chicago, where it's like, why would I hit behind the runner? Why am I trying to do this? Why am I trying to do that? Why am I trying to grind out this at bat, or walk, or sack bunt, or play the game the right way fundamentally, because we're losing, 100 games a year or whatever. So to me, being a part of a team that says you better play like this or you're not going to be here, I think is right up his alley. He's been wanting to be on a team with played like this right here. And so he's thriving in it. It's a good clubhouse. So it's not a surprise that they bring a guy over. Gavin Sheets did the same thing going from Chicago to San Diego. And I mean, there's a laundry list of guys that have done that. So I'm not surprised. I'm only surprised how incredibly consistent he's been. Every time he comes to the plate, it's like, stop what you're doing and watch right here, because he's about to hit an extra base hit for RBIs.
No doubt. I was going to have Charlie play something, but I can see on our little YouTube thing here that he's not at the board right now. So I'll just tell you, the comparison that was made on MLB Network and who they think Andrew Vaughn might be if he can continue, hitting the way he is, the comparison was Matt Williams. And the power and the contact and how he played and how he was aggressive at the plate and his swing philosophy and judgment and so forth. I haven't heard Matt Williams' name in forever, but when they said it, I was like, oh, man. Like, if he's that, they have got something big time right here if he's that guy.
Well, he's a swinger right now. Like, what we've seen from Vaughn as a Brewer, he swings the bat. I mean, he comes out first pitch, he smashes it, it's a foul ball. He doesn't care. Like, you can just tell he's okay in different counts. Some of the stuff that he's doing, getting the big hits, he's getting with 2 strikes. And I remember, I think it was his second or third game, guy was beating him with fastball. He was at everything, and all of a sudden got a curveball, and he kept his hands back. And I'm telling you, as a pitcher, that is a nightmare to see. When that guy's hands are not going forward after you've thrown an off-speed pitch, and he crushed a homer, I think the left center, that right there said this guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing at the plate, and he's finally, on a team that this kind of way they're playing is going to be contagious. I think this has been the best place for him. I think the Brewers needed him. I think he needed the Brewers.
That's awesome. He is Tim Dillard. Follow him on Twitter at DimTillard. He joins us each and every Thursday. Brewers analyst for FanDuel Sports Network. Normally joins us at 3:20, but today it is the day to go talk to the teachers, Tim Dillard. And I got to tell you, I got to tell you, I don't know if you like talking to the teachers or how that all works, but sometimes they already know your kid before you even get to the teacher. Oh, yeah, I know little so-and-so. I've heard all about him from the previous year's teacher or whatever the case may be. And they're like, okay, you know my kid really well, so this should go really smoothly. How is your interaction with teachers? Do they know who you are? They're like, oh, you're the funny guy.
No, not usually. I usually meet them
Really?
like 10 times, and I can't even remember. And they're like, hey, good to see you again. I'm like, the awkward interaction. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I used to make these videos in the car line at my youngest elementary school. So that
Loved
kind of
it.
put me on the map a little bit with some of these teachers. They're like, "You're the guy that dresses up in the car and does stuff," and I'm like,
Yeah,
that's me." So my kid's probably embarrassed of that.
those videos are amazing. I love those videos. There he is, Tim Dillard. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you. We'll talk next week.
You got it.
There
Sparky.
he is. You betcha. Take care. There he is, Tim Dillard, joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. I see Charlie using. I think he's back in the studio again, which is nice. I missed him. He wasn't there when I was asking for him earlier.
Around.
I understand. No big deal. I wanted to play that sound from MLB Network for Tim Dillard with the comparison of Andrew Vaughn, but could not do it from here. Okay, take a quick time out. Come back. On the other side, we will come back and talk about Packers training camp and what went on with Packers training camp earlier today. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook out here at the Wisconsin State Fair, right by the Expo building. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. C. Sparky Fifer with you here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Come on out, hang out with us right across from the Milk House at the Expo building, right by the entrance. As you come in from that infield, you know, where you get that used to be the Bucks deal when Herb Cole was alive and doing his thing, and then they left it. Now Gruber Law has sponsorship of the Milk House over there. I'm a big fan of the Milk House and a big fan of the root beer milk. I've always liked the root beer milk. Charlie, are you a Milk House guy?
Oh, I'm definitely a Milk House guy. Sparky, come on. Root beer milk? I'm always in on that. Every
So
time.
you're in on root beer milk.
Oh, all the time, every day. I'd have it all the time if I could.
Yeah, why don't they sell that in the store?
I don't know. I think it's a little too rare. It makes it more fun to have it. I also feel like it's one of those things that if I did drink it all the time, I'd probably get sick of it. So I don't know if I actually could drink
But
it
if
all
you
the time.
took root beer milk and put that with ice cream for a milkshake, wouldn't that be pretty good?
I guess, but then wouldn't you just use root beer?
No, milk is healthier for you than soda.
I guess. I mean, it's still like,
Yeah.
it depends what kind of milk you're using. I feel like the root beer milk probably isn't the healthiest milk.
Maybe. I don't know. That's way too much to talk about milk, though. So we're out here at the right outside the entrance of the Expo building. Come on out, say hi. Thanks to Tim Dillard again, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin Brewers analyst, for joining us there in the last segment. Another trade made while we were away on MLB trade deadline day. Cedric Mullins, who has been in Baltimore his whole career, an outfielder in Baltimore. He goes to the New York Mets, Charlie. Is that correct?
That is correct. The Mets were finalizing the deal. No word on what they're getting back yet.
David Stearns being very active. Must be different for him to get to be so active at the trade deadline in New York, unlike when he was in Milwaukee. Maybe it's just coincidence, Charlie, that he's really active with the Mets and couldn't be with the Brewers. Maybe it's coincidence.
I don't know if it's coincidence. I think they.
You don't think so?
I think they may be giving him a little more freedom, a little bit more cash allowance.
You think so?
I think so.
See, that's the thing with this whole thing with Matt Arnold, and people want to get mad at Matt Arnold because the Brewers haven't done a thing all day while everybody else is making moves left and right. That's fine. You can be mad at Matt Arnold, I guess. But I don't really think Matt Arnold is playing with the same set of rules as Preller is in San Diego, making his massive moves for the Padres, or Cashman with the Yankees, or Stearns with the Mets, or the Dodgers. You know, I'll tell you the one thing that I really am surprised by. I really am surprised the Cubs have not been able to get a real starting pitcher. And I was saying this earlier today to a friend of mine. If the Cubs get out of this trade deadline and they don't get a frontline starter to go with Imanaga and Boyd, that is a huge, huge benefit for the Milwaukee Brewers if they can't find a third real starter. Now, you could say, well, they're relying on Javier Assad, who's coming back from injury here, and that'll be their third guy. Maybe. But if I'm the Cubs, I'm trying to get a frontline starter to match up with the Brewers, because that's a big deal, especially when you have a 5-game set with the Brewers coming up here starting August 18th. You need to have that done and have that person in the rotation. There's been talk about Mackenzie Gore possibly. But again, if I'm the Brewers and the Cubs don't get this done, I'm ecstatic. Even though we've done nothing, I'm ecstatic if the Cubs can't figure out anything more than a reliever in Kittredge, who's damn near 40 at this point.
Well, and based on what apparently the Nationals are asking for Mackenzie Gore, I don't really want the Cubs to make that trade. It would be selling off literally all their prospects for him. And I know he's still a young pitcher who has a lot of potential, but he also hasn't really hit any of those next steps that he was supposed to hit in his career so far. He's pitching well this season, but he still has those on and off moments. If that's what it takes to get a starting pitcher, then I don't think the Cubs are going to do it, because they're just as cheap as the Brewers are, if we're being honest.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, we have to get a hold of Austin Herdania. He was scheduled to come on here, and it's my bad. I totally forgot about our guy, Austin Herdania, sportsbook manager over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He'll be joining us here momentarily. We'll pick Austin Herdania's brain as far as what he thinks of what the Brewers have not done here at the trade deadline. And I know you could say they got season, and you could say, well, they got Woodruff back from IL, so that's their trade acquisition, and you can say all of this, but again, they're the only top team that has done not a single thing in the last 24 hours as we sit here currently. The other thing that I found interesting earlier today was the Boston Red Sox apparently are interested in 2 former Brewers pitchers with the Chicago White Sox, Savali and Aaron Hauser. Hauser has had the much better year than Aaron Savali, but apparently the Boston Red Sox, they want Aaron Savali, not Adrian Hauser at this point, which I thought was quite shocking at this moment in time. The other thing that we look at when we talk about this Milwaukee Brewers baseball team right now and what they need, you could say, okay, well, they don't need power. Fine. Let's say they don't add a power bat at the deadline. I think you can definitely say they could use another pitcher in that bullpen because of how much they've been using these guys. Like, I just don't think there's any chance that you could say they don't need another reliever to throw back there. Anton on the YouTube chat as we stream live at the Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. Use that @ symbol at the Fan Milwaukee. Anton says only 3 teams have won the World Series: the 06 Cardinals, the 2010 Giants, and the 2018 Red Sox, without making splash deals. But that does not mean we could have had on the left side of the infield and help in the pen. That very well could be. I haven't gone back and looked at that, but that very well may be the case. That every other team has made a splash deal at the deadline outside of those three teams since 2006. And as we sit here right now, they have not made a deal of any sort, splash or not. They could add a reliever that nobody's ever heard of that could come in and be a big factor in this bullpen, and we may sit here and go, who even is that? All right, he's got a nice ERA. I guess that'll help. But we don't know the impact these guys are going to have. They got Danny Jansen, right, the backup catcher a couple of days ago. He's had a horrible season. Appleton native and so forth. As I said the other day, Danny Jansen could have a big hit in Game 3 of a playoff series and win you a baseball game off of the bench. And then it's like, oh, what a great deal getting Danny Jansen for the Brewers. And when they made the deal, we're all like, well, what's wrong with Eric Haas? We liked Eric Haas as the backup catcher. But they may have the golden touch and be able to figure this out at the end of the day and get that deal done. So from that perspective, you just don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. What I do know is you can't get better if you don't add anybody. Right? If you don't attempt to add anybody, how can you expect to make major progress? And we still don't have answers to the whole idea of, is Vaughn for real? Is Vaughn this guy for 2 more months playing at this level? I have no idea. I don't know the answer to that. The other thing we don't know is what's going to happen with this rotation. You heard Tim Dillard earlier when he was on, and Tim Dillard said, I don't think I would even think about putting Quintana in the bullpen. I don't think I would even think about putting Nestor Cortes in the bullpen. He said that he would consider Woodruff or Mizorowski to go to the bullpen and let Cortes and Quintana stay in the starting rotation. Now, I would think for a majority of Brewers fans, that would not sit well if you took one of your frontline starters and put them in the pen versus one of these two other guys that are older players and put them in the pen. The problem is Mizorowski has pitched out of the pen briefly in stints kind of before. So maybe that is the area you go if you decide to keep Nestor Cortes and go to the rotation. The other aspect is if you go to that 6-man rotation and say, okay, Nestor Cortes, you're going to go in the rotation as the 6th man. Now, you do save innings with Mizorowski. You do save innings with Woodruff because they're essentially going to miss at least one start, if not more, by not pitching every 5 days the rest of the year. That's the thing we don't know, too. Waiting the arrival of Austin Herdina, the Potawatomi Sportsbook manager. Lots of great things going down there. And again, 6,500 square feet, 2,000 square foot center screen at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It is amazing. You have 2 levels. The second level you can rent out for business meetings, small parties, all right there for you. And it has its own private elevator. So, for instance, if you were having a business luncheon and I was like, I want to go to the second level and see what's going on, I couldn't get up there because of the private elevator. So it's great for business meetings and so forth. The other part of what makes that great is the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen. You're talking about brunch, all-day brunch. Wings, burgers, wraps, salads, all of that available to you at the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen. How about this? Homemade desserts and pastries made on-site at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. 48 beers on tap, a dozen different specialty cocktails, all there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen. How about this? They have gambling kiosks right there off the 4th floor of the Potawatomi parking garage. You go in, you have Rock and Brew, the Kiss themed inspired bar, the band Kiss, of course. Theme inspired bar, great family restaurant, great personal pizzas. Right across from there on your way to the bathroom, all these gambling kiosks set up that you can go and make a couple of wagers at if you'd like. And then be on with your night. Fine dining restaurants all over the Potawatomi Hotel Casino. So make sure to check that out, too. All right, Charlie Yuza, give me an update, buddy. I need an update here on what's going on with our guy, Austin Herdina. Are you not able to get a hold of Austin Herdina?
So I think I just have the wrong number in my phone because I've been trying to call it and it was not going to him, so I have not.
There you go. Okay, then. See, this is the beauty of live radio for sure. So let me see here. I will forward you his number, and then you can call him and get him on. So Austin Herdina is going to come on and tell us about all the great things going on at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Meanwhile, let's continue to talk about this MLB trade deadline. and what's going on the MLB trade deadline. We'll go over the Packers and recap what happened at training camp in the next segment coming up here at 3 o'clock and get more into that. John Heyman says Astros still aren't completely off of Carlos Correa, still talking to the Twins. A lot of finances to work out, however. Remember, Correa was with the Astros for a majority of his career, and apparently Carlos Correa, the shortstop, only willing to go to one of those two teams, either stay in Minnesota or go to the Astros. John Heyman also reporting James Outman, the outfielder with the Dodgers, he was the one that went to the Twins for the reliever Brock Stewart in that deal. That's something else to look at. The Cedric Mullins deal, Gomez, Marsh, and Nunez to the O's in that deal. Luis Robert has not been even close to being moved as of this point, the outfielder from the White Sox. I mean, an outfielder can be a DH, has not had a great year. He's played well since the All-Star break. He would provide a power bat for sure to whatever team gets him. Now, John Heyman is saying there's a possibility that Luis Robert Jr. could stay with the White Sox. He has a $20 million option for next year. I had read earlier today there is no chance the White Sox are picking up that option, but the White Sox apparently are asking for the moon for Luis Robert Jr. As well. So we'll have to wait and see if Luis Robert Jr. gets moved or not in this one. All set to go there, Charlie?
Yes, we are all set to go now.
Joining us now, and it's all my fault, Austin Herdania, sportsbook manager of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, joins us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's at the Wisconsin State Fair. What's going on, Austin?
Hey, Sparky, how you doing? Today's the first day of football season. Are you ready?
I don't really I'm not really all that fired up about the Hall of Fame game, man. I'm too busy falling asleep at the MLB trade deadline, watching the Brewers do absolutely nothing at this point.
Yeah, I thought we'd make some more moves than we have.
Some more? They haven't made one.
We got a catcher, right? Didn't we get a
catcher?
catcher?
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. I don't really count that as a move. Yes, Danny Jansen, technically, yes.
Yeah, so we got something at least. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully this team can just stay healthy and then ride it out, and I think we might have a contender.
We talk about the NFL and starting up. The NFL has done a great job of owning in some way every month of the 12 months on the calendar, right? Pretty much every month. You've got the season starting with the training camp in July. Then you've got preseason games in August, like the Hall of Fame game coming up tonight. Then you have regular season. Then you get the playoffs in January, the Super Bowl in February, the scouting combines at the end of February. Then you get to March, NFL free agency starts. April's the draft. May and June are OTAs and mandatory minicamp, and you're right back to training camp in July. Like, the NFL is the only one, apparently, that has figured out how to own the entire calendar year with sports fans.
It's a really unbelievable. And then you think about just the day of the week, too. I mean, it used to be Sundays with Monday Night Football, right? And then you added in Thursday night. Now there's some Saturdays late in the year. Come holiday season, right? We're playing on Christmas, playing on Black Friday, Thanksgiving, New Year's. It's just pretty much all over the calendar now.
Now, the one thing that we do know is anytime we get to this time of year, especially once we get to August, and that obviously comes up tomorrow, then fantasy football drafts start happening. Yesterday, we had our fantasy football expert on from RotoWire, and we did a whole fantasy football segment yesterday, kind of looking ahead at, who are the top 5 guys, who are the rookies that we should be keeping an eye on, who are Packer players that you should probably be looking at in drafts. And you guys got a bunch of cool stuff coming up for fantasy football at the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yes, it is live right now. So if you want to have your fantasy football draft at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, it is a dedicated space for 4 hours. You're gonna get chicken wings, pulled pork sliders, cheese, chips, salsa dip. You're gonna get three drinks per person as well. And all of this can be had for $49.95 total price out the door for each person. That includes the tax and the tip already. We have our space above the sportsbook that many people have not seen yet. We're going to be trying to host as many of these parties up there as possible. We also have a draft board with stickers and all that stuff. If anyone's interested in that, we can give that to you as well. That's going to be a $32 add-on. That's pretty much just the cost that we paid for it. So we're passing that on. And then everyone's going to get $10 in slot rewards as well. So, like, it really comes down to $39.95. You look at it that way, and you're getting 3 drinks and unlimited food, and you get to experience the Potawatomi Sportsbook in a premium space. So it is a package that you can book right now at Potawatomi.com. You're going to go to Sportsbook, and you'll see it right there on the page.
So as far as days and times and so forth, are you limited from when you can and cannot do this as far as day and times of the week?
So right now we have it available Sunday through Thursday. We are taking requests that we will try to do other days. If you are interested in only a Friday or a Saturday, if that's all you can get your league together for, we will see what we can do. It's just with certain things going on with like UFC pay-per-views and other things going on some Saturdays, we prefer not to have this party going on during that same time. So maybe if it was earlier in the day on a Saturday, we could do it. But yeah, as of right now, Sunday through Thursday, anytime you book it, we'll do it. If it's Friday or Saturday, we'll try to work with you.
I'll give you another one. Very, very important to fantasy football players, as you well know. And that is, well, what happens if we got all these people there with our laptops and Wi-Fi and all of that? Is it going to be strong enough to hold all of our things? Because some guys may be on Zoom and so forth. I know that's always an issue. If people go out to try and do their Wi-Fi or their party at a bar or a restaurant, all of a sudden the Wi-Fi stinks and it's fluttering in and out and you're having all kinds of issues.
Absolutely. So we have free Wi-Fi for everyone. It's really, really good Wi-Fi. It's not going to be an issue. And then also underneath the table that we have set up for the draft is all these power supplies. So if you have your laptop with you or your phone, bring your charger. You can plug it in. All 12, it goes up to 12 people can plug their devices in if you'd like. We got room at the table for 14 people. We ask that for these groups, it's at least an 8-person minimum. If you want to bring other people with you, someone that's maybe not in the league, but somebody who just wants to hang out, enjoy the food and drink and so forth, you're welcome to do that as well. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's the first time we're going to be offering this. I feel like it's an incredible deal. So if someone is interested in doing it, please go to Potawatomi.com, go to the sportsbook section, submit your request. You're going to put in your league name, phone number, email, etc., and then that is going to go right to my email. And then from there, I will contact you for further details.
That's an awesome deal, man. No question about it. You could be there while, a Monday night game is going on in the exhibition season or a Thursday night game or some college games that are going on later in August possibly as well, and be at the Potawatomi Sportsbook doing your fantasy football draft at the same time. I have one more question. Will you be there to lend expert advice to the people that are doing the drafts?
If you would like me to, I will absolutely be there for you. You just let me know. If you need someone to, get a little advice, what I like on this pick at this moment, I will absolutely be there to help you out.
What's your track record in fantasy football, Austin Houdini of Potawatomi?
You know what? I've been in some leagues with friends dating back to high school, so we've been doing this for about 20 years now. And I've won the championship a time or two. But yeah, I'm in some other leagues. Yeah, it's definitely fun. Something that I don't do for a whole lot of dough on the line or anything. Just for fun, hanging out with friends and getting together. The draft is always the most fun, and then throughout the year, just ribbing on each other. Facing a different friend each week and hoping to get the win over them.
That's good stuff. There he is, Austin Herdania, again, of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You hear him on each and every leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook 1 hour before every Brewers game. No Brewers game today, so no leadoff show, but tomorrow, Tommy Wirtz out here at the Wisconsin State Fair hosting the leadoff show from 4:30 to 5:30, getting ready for Brewers and Nationals. Brewers coming off of winning 2 of 3 against the Cubs. I think next year at the trade deadline, you should just have odds on the Brewers making a trade on deadline day and see if you come out ahead at the sportsbook.
You remind me about a month before that, and I'll see what I can do to get something like that up.
I swear to God, it's so frustrating with this Brewers team right now. So yesterday I ranted and yelled and screamed on the air about it, and I knew this was going to happen, that they weren't going to do much of anything, and it doesn't make it any easier. Thank God I'm out here at the State Fair talking to my guy at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Makes life a little bit better. Austin, thanks so much for coming out, man. Appreciate it. Go and buy your fantasy football party packages right now. Go Go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook to buy your fantasy draft party package now and have your fantasy draft, football draft, at the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the second level. And like I've been saying, Austin, it's a private elevator. Not anybody can get up there.
Absolutely, yeah. You're going to get key cards. So when you arrive, every person in the group will get a key card. You'll be able to access the elevator going up and down. We'll have a dedicated server for you as well, bringing up food, getting your drinks, all that stuff. So you don't need to do anything other than sit there, watch the screens, pay attention to your draft, and just have a fun time.
That's awesome. Austin Herdina, I have another idea, because that's what I do. I have ideas. This is too late for you to come up with this, but I think next year what could be fun is if there would be a way to take and put the master board up of the draft picks on one of the screens on the sportsbook wall, so people that are there betting on games or whatever else could be booing or cheering as picks are happening in the people's fantasy football leagues. I think that would be a cool little deal.
That is something that we've actually tried to play around with a little bit. So what we would need to do in order for that to happen is we basically would need to be logged in as someone. So if someone in the league wants to volunteer to kind of mimic their screen to the big screen of ours, we can do that actually.
Oh man, now you're talking. That takes it to the next level.
You might be giving away your draft strategy though if you have all these guys sitting in your queue, and everyone will be able to see it. So that's the one downside. If we put it on the big screen, it's going to have to be someone's screen that's already in the league.
That is true. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, you just got to find the most confident, cocky person in the league. They'll be like, I don't care. They can't beat me, right? And then there's always one of those guys in every league. Jack Pembroke, who's out here.
One.
Yeah, Jack Pembroke, who's out here, who co-hosts Wisconsin Sports Week, and he's definitely the guy in his league. He texts me every week, Austin, I won again. I'm not even in his league, and he's texting me every week telling me how great he is. Every week, Austin. All right, thank you so much for coming on. Again, get your fantasy football draft party booked. You can do your draft party on the second level of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Just go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook, Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Thank you, Austin.
Thanks for having me.
There is Austin Herdina joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. They're sponsoring the Milk House right across the way from us. I recommend, as does Charlie, the root beer milk to take advantage of that. Coming up next, we'll talk about what happened at Packers training camp earlier today up in Green Bay. Straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook at the Wisconsin State Fair, right here by the Expo Building entrance.